maybe I'll just go over a list of what I think are like the most important things to know for statisticians or for biostatisticians if they want to start thinking causally. So you'll realize that if you start learning causal inference and you're a statistician, that maybe a lot of the things that you kind of already knew are now made explicit or made formal. And this is a really great tool just for your knowledge to understand, like, why am I doing this way? And why is this causal? Why is this not? And then I'll end maybe with an opening about the new frontiers, right? Like machine learning, and what are the kind of tools that are being developed that you can start learning maybe by reading papers or looking at courses or things like that. So the traditional way to look at causal inference in statistics, so a good place to start is with what we call the potential outcomes framework, or the Rubin causal model. So this is a tool that's important. And then it's a bit abstract. Some people find it difficult. There's also another framework that has a lot of similarities that uses graphical methods, right, that we call DAGs, or directed acyclic graphs. And these methods are, I think one way to summarize why these methods are so popular is a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So they work by using images, arrows that denote relationships, causal relationships between variables. So these have a sort of intuitive feel. So that's a reason they're used a lot in social science, in economics, in epidemiology, these graphical models. And they also have the interesting feature that a lot of procedures that we need can be developed algorithmically. So we can just build the model, the graphical model of our phenomenon, and give it to a computer, and the computer tells us how to do the causal inference problem. So these are very valuable tools. So I think these are kind of like the foundations, and in the book I'm writing, that's kind of the approach I'm taking. So I think these are foundational tools. They can help you understand everything else. Then once you know these tools, the next steps would probably be propensity scores and instrumental variables, which are important tools to use for problem of confounding and how to look at observational data with an experimental point of view. How can we look at the data as if it was an experiment? So propensity score is a way to eliminate confounding, and instrumental variables is a way to find a variable that's an instrument that we can look at how it varies to kind of estimate the effect of the real variable we're interested in, the real treatment variable. So these are very important tools. And then in a lot of social sciences or a lot of other different fields, epidemiology, things like that, we're very interested in problems of mediation and interaction. So we sometimes call these mediation models. So mediation models are important when, let's say, we encourage students to study more by giving them a tutor, and we want to see how it affects their test scores. Well, we can assume probably that there's a mediator, right? So a mediator means in the middle, a variable that is how much time they study, right? So giving them a tutor might give them motivation to study more, and then that affects their test score. So we kind of have to disentangle, maybe the tutors are just encouraging them to study more, or maybe the tutors are actually helping them, maybe a little bit of both. So this is very important in statistics, and I think it's a very interesting topic. And then I also believe it's important to learn about time varying and time modified confounding. So this, when we have longitudinal data, things can get very complicated very fast, because some of the confounders are also varying through time, right? So people, maybe their age is changing, their weight is changing, their blood pressure is changing. So how do we control this when we're studying people over a period of time, or when we look at, let's say, health records that have been collected over time, and the person appears many times. How do we deal with that? So there's a whole literature on that.